Hi guys, it's Big Bear. Today we're gonna keep learning Final Cut Pro. So we're gonna watch a video and we're gonna learn how to use it in the meantime. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So yesterday we watched this one. We're gonna keep going. I'm thinking of actually following up.
Sound or graphic that I can
actually,
imagine Photo Elements has the thing
doing what
to
he's
bring
doing
that vision
while I
to
watch
life
it
and create
on
better
Final Cut
videos
Pro.
faster.
Well, I'll see because I
For
don't
the
have a
name,
lot
I
of room
just
on my
like to leave
computer.
it as the same name as my projects. I'll just do, Final Cut Tutorial. It doesn't even have to be the same. It doesn't really matter. But to keep organized, we are going to place it in the same folder. So in Movies, in Think Media Videos, I'm going to add Final Cut Tutorial, and I'm just going to put it inside of this folder. We'll hit Save. And now if I go back to that folder, you are going to see that we have a library right here. This library is going to hold everything. So if you ever need to get back in there and edit, you can actually go right in here. You can double click this and it's going to open up that library with the videos that you have in there. Right here is where you have an event, and this is where you're going to upload some of that footage. We click on it once, we can rename it, and we are just going to call this Fuji footage, and that way I can upload all my Fuji footage in
Is that a
here, and it's
library?
really easy to know that this is where my Fuji footage is. With that selected, we're going to hit Import Media, and this is going to open up our Media Import tab. I'm going to find my footage by going to Nolan Molt, then going to Movies, and then Think Media Videos. Right here is my Final Cut Tutorial, and if I select that, it's actually just going to import everything inside of this folder. Obviously, the library can't be imported, but I do have my video in there. So I'm just going to select that. And then over here, we have a lot of options on this right-hand side. We can see right here that it's going to add to our existing event, Fuji footage, which we just made. And then as far as files go, you want to leave files in place. If you copy to the library, your library is going to get very large. And I actually just like to keep everything separate and in my own folders. And so this is the way I do it to stay organized. If you copy it to the library, you can do that as well. But things seem to be a bit less organized when I do that. As far as keywords go, we can leave both of those checked. And then for analyze video, I like to leave both of these unchecked. For transcode, under optimized media, if you have some weird file sizes, this is going to make it more compatible with Final Cut Pro by making it a ProRes file, or you can create proxy medias, which is what I like to use. So if you have a slow computer, you can create a proxy media, and basically it's a low resolution file size, and so it's a lot smaller files and they run a lot faster on your computer, and then you can sub those out when you start editing, and then when you go to export your final project, you basically replace your high res, whether it's 4K or just even 1080, and then your final edit is going to have those original files back in place. But it makes the editing so much easier and so much faster, especially if you have a slow computer. So I'm going to select Create Proxy Media, and for my codec, ProRes Proxy is going to work fine. H.264 will work as well, but I like to use the ProRes proxies. Frame size, I'm going to leave at 50%. And after that, we're just gonna hit import all. Now we can see that we have footage inside of Final Cut Pro, and up here we have a loading bar. So if we select this, this is actually going to show us the background tasks that are happening. Right now there is transcoding and analysis. That just means that it's creating the proxy files for us. If we click this down, it's transcoding, making the proxy clips for each of these clips right now. Now, as that runs in the background, we can carry on. Now, in order to start editing, we need a project. So events are kind of what carries your music, your pictures, your videos, and your project is your edit. It's where the videos and all the files will go into. You'll mess around with them, and that project is what you'll export. And again, the library is what holds everything. To create a new project, we'll go to File, New, and select Project. For our project name, I'll just name it Final Cut Tutorial. It's going to be in the event Fuji footage, which is perfect for me. And for video, I'm gonna leave it at 4K, but if you shot in 1080, then hit 1080p HD. But for me, mine is in 4K, and this is the correct resolution. For frame rate, I actually shot in 23.98 frames per second. Rendering, codec, all this stuff is fine. Color space is fine. Audio, all that stuff you won't need to touch. From there, you'll hit OK, and right up here, you'll now see we have a project. Also down here, we can now move this playhead because we have a project. And this is our project timeline. This is where we are going to edit everything. Back up here in the vents where we have our videos, you can see we can scrub through here, and this is going to allow us to view this footage even before we add it to our project. If you scrub over your video and hit the space bar, this is actually going to play it for you. So let's say, all right, this is the clip I want to use. You can either select it once and drag it into your timeline, or let me delete that. Now let's say you just want to use the second half of this clip. You can actually drag this and just bring down that second half of the clip. Or what you could do is just bring the entire clip down and trim it down here while it's already in the timeline. If you hold down shift, you can select all your clips and just throw those in the timeline and edit it from there. I do this a lot of the time. I just throw them all in and then I start editing inside of my project. With some videos on the timeline, if you select one of these clips, over here we have our effects. So if this is not popping up yet, you can click this button right here and that's going to bring up your effects. If you want to add a transition, you can actually click this one and this is going to be your transitions, and it's as simple as dragging and dropping. So let's say we want to use this cross dissolve. I'll drag this over the second clip, and right now it's going to say there's not enough extra media.
I don't need the just join thing. I'm gonna clean that up, alright? Because I don't really need that. So here's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, this isn't even working. This is even funnier. Funniest. Oh, just this one. Or you know what? You know what? I'm just going to. No, I don't even bother. I don't care. Nope. No, I don't even care. Stop. It's insane.
Just hit create
even has a
transition,
time.
and this is going to transition a cross dissolve between the two clips. And if you want to delete that, you can just select your transition and hit delete, and that's going to get rid of that transition. Back over here on effects, you can do the same thing. You can drag an effect right here And now you have a 50s TV effect. And if you want to delete an effect, you can select your clip. Up here in the right-hand corner, this is your properties. Right now at the top, we see effects. We can just select 50s TV and delete that. So over here on the right-hand side, this is all your information about your clip or maybe your audio. So you can see over here, we can mess with our opacity. We can change that. Transform is like the positioning, and so you can move that around. You can also scale your image by dragging the slider, or you can select the scale and maybe you want to make it 200%. You can do that as well. Now, what I like to do, what I think is a lot easier, is right down here, we have this little drop-down menu. You can do a transform tool, and this is your scale right here. You can move the positioning around. You can scale it up or down, you know, do whatever you want to do with that. To reset this, all you got to do is go back up here and hit reset, and that's going to put everything back to normal for your transform tool. If we change this to crop, this allows us to crop in on an image or crop out on an image, and trim allows you to actually trim off an image. So if you want to make it more of a square image, add something else in there, you know, you can do in on an transform tool. If we change this to crop, this everything with that. The little drop down menu, like to do, you can select the scale and maybe you want to make it 200%, you can do that as well. Now what I like to do, what I think is a lot easier, is right down here, we have this little drop down menu. You can do a transform tool, and this is your scale right here. You can move the positioning around, you can scale it up or down, you know, do whatever you want to do with that. To reset this, all you got to do is go back up here and hit reset, and that's going to put everything back to normal for your transform tool. If we change this to crop, this allows us to crop in on an image or crop out on an image, and trim allows you to actually trim off an image. So if you want to make it more of a square image, add something else in there, you know, you can do that with trim. Another important thing to look at on this viewer window is this percentage right here. So we have the 70%. If we want to make that 50%, this actually isn't changing the scale or anything like that. It's just changing the size of it inside of our software. So if I want to make this as big as possible for this window, I would just hit fit, and that is going to fit it in here. So as I move these around, if I want to make this bigger, this is just automatically going to make it smaller for me or make it bigger if I make the window bigger. So to recap, down here is where we are going to edit our project. Up here is all of our videos. So to actually get these onto your project, you have to bring them down into the timeline, but this is where they all are. So if I delete some of these, they're still going to be up here. They're not on the project, they're not on the final video, but it's not like I'm deleting them out of the software. If I want to put them back in, I can by just dragging it back onto the timeline. Over here, we have our event as well as our library, and you can create new events if you want to. Maybe you have like a part 2 or day 2, and you want to separate the days. You could do that by just naming it day 2, and then you have a brand new event. So if you see no footage, you might be on the wrong event. You need to go to a different event where you have your project, you have your other footage, but this also allows you to organize things inside of Final Cut if that makes it easier for you. Typically, I just keep everything inside of one event. So I have 9 clips in my events folder right here, and I'm gonna drag all of these onto my timeline. I'm gonna hold down Shift and select this last one. I'm just gonna simply drag those, and now I have all my videos inside of my project. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here so I can see what's going on. To do that, you can hit Command plus button, or if you hit Command minus button, this is going to zoom out. Now, editing is as simple as removing clips and keeping the good stuff. So that's what we're gonna do first. We're gonna go through and start removing some of the pieces that we don't want in our final video. So to hit play so far on my video, I'll hit the space bar. I'm just looking at the camera, kind of getting ready to talk. And if I zoom in on this clip right here, you see these audio waveforms down here. This is when I start talking, and this is when I want the video to start, when I actually start saying stuff. Also, you might notice there's this black vignetting on these corners on this camera. I'm gonna show you how to fix that, how to kind of crop in a little bit. We'll do that next. But first, this is what you're going to use most of the time, which is your blade tool. To pull up your blade tool, you can go over here and you can select the blade, or you could hit B, but this is kind of your tool. So you have select, you can trim, position, range selection, but I just like to learn these shortcuts, and so I will hit B, and you can see right here, now my cursor is a blade. All you have to do is select where you make your cut, and when you click on that, you can see that there's now a splice right in between these videos. So now we have one cut in the video, kind of making it 2 videos. So we can select this first part, and if we hit delete, now the beginning of this video starts when I start talking. Let's go to the end of this clip and do the same thing over here. So I'm talking, and this is where I'm gonna end it. Now if you hit Command B, this is gonna make a cut for you right where your playhead is. And so this right here is the playhead. So where your playhead is where it's going to start playing your video. So with it over there, I hit Command B, and this is what happened. I'll select the second half of the clip, and I will delete that. Now that right there is a big piece of editing, just kind of getting rid of the parts that you don't want and keeping all the good stuff. Another thing you can do here if you want to extend this clip or maybe shorten it is hover over the end of the clip, and you're gonna see this trim tool. Now if you hold down, if you click and hold down, you can drag this to the left to start cutting off more of this clip on the left. If you want to extend it, you can drag it to the right. Now if I want to do the same thing on the right clip, I'm gonna slightly move it to the right, and now you see that bracket has flipped. Now this means I am trimming this right clip, so I can extend it to the left, but this red marker lets me know this is the beginning of the clip. So I'm gonna start cutting everything out that I don't want, and I want it to start right there. Let's bring this clip back, and that is allowing you to trim those so that you can extend them, shorten them, lengthen them, do what you want with that. I use that tool a whole lot as well. Now let's say I want this clip actually to go first before this very first clip. All you have to do is select the clip you want to move. You can drag it, and we're gonna drag that right in front. And now everything kind of snaps into place. Now this clip is gonna play first, and this clip is now gonna play second. Now let's say we want to add an effect. Over here we have our effects window, and let's say we wanna add the camcorder. So I'm gonna drag that onto this clip here, and now you're gonna see that we have this camcorder effect just by dragging that onto this clip here. And now you're gonna see that we have this camcorder effect just by that. Right.
Yeah, we're gonna check out the effects tomorrow with and maybe we need one video. I don't know what you download here. Let's maybe upload a video, alright? Let's see what video I can upload so I can actually practice, because I need to practice, right? Yeah, so let's see. I'm gonna look for a video. Wait, the first one should be event, right? Or library. First one should be library, I think. I think I need a project, right? I haven't imported anything though. I just import this. What the heck is DNG? was easy.
Front, and now everything kind of snaps into place. Now this clip is going to play first, and this clip is now going to play second. Now let's say we want to add an effect. Over here we have our effects window, and let's say we want to add the camcorder. So
Where's the effects window? Oh, here. Oh, let's blade. Let's trim blade. Trim blade. Color board. Oh. Very okay. Nice.
I'm going to drag that onto this clip here, and now you're going to see that we have this camcorder effect just by dragging that. Now if I pull it to the right, and as you...
If you don't know how to make chords, this is it. Congratulations. The chords are already made for you.
You pull it to the left,
That's
it is
pathetic,
now
by
everything
the
kind
way.
of snaps into place. Now this clip is going to play first, and this quicker transition, and if you want to make it extra long, we're going to use this to make our up and make it a faster transition. All you need to do is trim and shorten up that transition. So we're going to adjust something, go over here into the effects. All the added will now you're going to see it snaps into place. Now this clip is going to play first, and this clip is now going to play second.
Where is camcorder effect though?
Now let's say we want to add an effect. Over here we have our effects window, and let's say we want to add the camcorder. So I'm going to drag that onto this clip here, and now you're going to see that we have this camcorder effect. Just
Oh, there's camcorder is here. Can I have camcorder and 50s TV at the same time? Okay. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Let's go. I hope it doesn't blow up though. Oh, it's the 200. Okay.
Just by dragging that. Now, if I select this clip over here in the inspect,
Is there a stopwatch? I need a stopwatch.
Create the perfect ad in just minutes. With timelines,
Today we are going to create a countdown timer using Final Cut Pro. And then after that, I'm going to show you how you can build a reusable countdown timer using Apple Motion. Here I am in Final Cut Pro and I want to have a 3-minute countdown timer. Now we're going to use a method shown to me by my friend Kevin Colby. He actually has a great video on this exact subject. I will have a link down below. The first thing we want to do is go to our generators. With our generator selected, we're just going to look up the word time code, and right here we can see it. I'm going to drag and attach that onto our timer.
Where?
Where you're first going to go, we're going to use a method shown to me by my friend Kevin Colby. He actually has a great video on this exact subject. I will have a link down below. The first thing we'll want to do is go to our generators. With our generators selected, we're just going to look up the word time code, and right here we can see it. I'm going to drag and attach that onto our timeline. What you're first going to want to do is set up how long you want this timer to be. So right now it's set to 10 seconds. I'm going to push Control D, that will allow me to change the duration. Then I'm going to type in 300, that'll be 3 seconds. 00 will make it 3 minutes. So you can see here in the time code, 3 minutes, 00 seconds, and 00 frames. From there, I'm going to push enter. So we now have this 3-minute long countdown timer. In here, we're gonna go up to our generators. We can go ahead and change the font. I'm gonna change it over to Roboto, which is the font that I happen to like right now. And I'll go ahead and make it bold. Just go ahead and set this up exactly how you would like it. Set the scaling, everything according to taste. And you'll see there's actually on-screen controls here to where we can
Let me
click.
try to do it myself first.
Drag this around. I'll go ahead and just get rid of the label, and from there we can change the font. I'm going to change it over to time 0 frames. So you can see that'll D, that will allow me to change the
Bro, what is this? screen now.
Then I'm going to type in 300. That'll be 3 seconds. 00 will make it 3 minutes. So you can see here in the time code, 3 minutes, 00 seconds, and 00 frames. From there, I'm going to push enter. So we now have this 3-minute long countdown timer. In here, we're gonna go up to our generators. We can go ahead and change the font. I'm gonna change it over to Roboto, which is the font that I happen to like right now. And I'll go ahead and make it bold. Just go ahead and set this up exactly how you would like it. Set the scaling, everything according to taste. And you'll see there's actually on-screen controls here too, where we can click and drag this around. I'll go ahead and just get rid of the label, and from there we can change the font color. Then on the background color option, exactly how on-screen controls here too, where we can click and drag this around. I'll go ahead and just get rid of the label, and from there we can change the font color. Then on the background color option, we're going to want to click this down arrow and change the opacity down to 0. So now your numbers should just be looking
There's no opaque.
arrow and change the font color. Then on the background color option, we're going to want to click this down arrow and change the opacity down to 0. So now your numbers should just be looking exactly like this. Select the time code group, and you'll see how this counts all the way up to 3 minutes. I'm going to right click and select new compound clip. Then we can push OK. Now that it's in a compound clip, Final Cut Pro sees this as its own individual clip, not as a generator. So with that in mind, we can select this clip, we can go up to our retiming editor and actually reverse the clip. So now it's going to be counting backwards from 3 minutes down to 0. Now you definitely could leave all these numbers up on the screen, all the zeros on the left side and all the frames on the far right, but I prefer to have a much cleaner look. So we're gonna go into our effects, and I'm just gonna look up the
How do I reverse?
Leave all these numbers up on the screen, all the zeros on the left side and all the frames on the far right, but I prefer to have a much cleaner look. So we're gonna go into our effects and I'm just gonna look up the clip, not as a generator. So with that in mind, we can select this clip, we can go up to our retiming editor and actually reverse. So now it's going to be counting backwards from 3 minutes down to 0. Now you definitely could leave all these numbers up on the screen, all the zeros on the left side and all the frames on the far right, but I prefer to have a much cleaner look. So we're gonna go into our effects and I'm just frames on the far right, but I prefer all these numbers up on the screen, all the zeros on the left side and all the frames on the far right, but I prefer to have a much cleaner look. So we're gonna go into our effects and I'm just gonna look up the draw mask. Applying that onto the clip, we can now click around the areas that we want to have this mask. So I will just single out the numbers that we want right here. Okay, so we now have this countdown timer in Final Cut Pro. If we need to move this around, we can here have this mask, so I will just single out the numbers that we want right here to have this mask, so I will just single out. We can now click around the effects and I'm just going to look up the draw mask. Applying that on cleaner look, so we're gonna go into our effects and I'm just gonna look up the draw mask. Applying that onto the look, so we're gonna go into our effects and I'm just gonna look up the draw mask. Applying that onto the clip, we can now click around the areas that we want to have this mask, so I will just single out the numbers that we want right here. Okay, so we now have countdown timer in Final Cut Pro. If we need to move this around, we can use the transform tool. We could slide it down to the bottom right corner, something like that. And if you want to get really fancy, you could use my free plugin. I'll try and have a link to this down below, called Saber. I'll go ahead and apply that on, and you'll see how the text has gotten all crazy. We can go in here and edit the settings, get it looking how we like it. So just editing those settings, now we have this really fancy looking countdown. So what if you don't want to build this countdown timer every single time you need a count it looking on, and you'll see how the text has gotten all crazy. We can go in here and edit the settings. We could slide it down to the bottom. Again, I'll try and have a link to something like that. And if you want to get really fancy, you could use my free plugin. I'll try and have a link to this down below, called Saber. I'll go ahead and apply that on, and you'll see how the text has gotten all crazy.
And welcome back to this US Open office plan.
Miller just lobbed a message way over Jones's head using some technical jargon.
Today I have a plugin that I am so ridiculously excited to show you that I built from the ground up for Final Cut Pro. The name of this plugin is Saber.
Dang. Let me check if my video is working. Okay, it's working.
We can go in here and edit the settings, get it looking how we like it. So just editing those settings, now we have this really fancy looking countdown. So what if you don't want to build this countdown timer every single time you need a countdown in Final Cut Pro? That is where Apple Motion comes into play, because we can build this as a template. What we're going to do is open up Apple Motion. If you don't get the project browser, you can push Command, Option, and N. From there, we are going to select the Final Cut title. Now in the duration settings, it's going to be important that you set it to the duration of your countdown timer. So if you have a 2-minute timer, you're going to want to set it to 120 seconds. But I also recommend that you add at least 1 or 2 seconds to the very end. We're going to make a 1-minute countdown timer. We're going to set the duration to 62 seconds. From there, we can push open. Now that we're in Motion, I'm going to go ahead and delete the title, background, and type text here layers. Then we'll go on over into our generators, where we can use the search feature to look up the timecode generator. I'm going to drag the timecode generator directly into this group. With our timecode selected, we can go to the inspector and find the format options. We'll go ahead and drag up the scale to our liking. We can set the font to whatever we like. Then we can go over to the generator settings and find this current timecode option. It's very important that you disable this. Now that we've done that, we have this.
That's too much, but
Why I love Envato Elements? I love that I don't have to animate my own texting conversations in app.
Today in Final Cut Pro, I want to show you 5 plugins that I consider to be must-haves from FX Factory. And I'm so excited because I am partnering with FX Factory to put all 5 of these plugins into a singular bundle, which you can pick up for 30% off the retail price of all 5 of these plugins. But if you already have 1 or more of these plugins and you want to just pick up an individual plugin, you can also use the other links down below. And then if you use the code TheFinalCutBro, you're going to get 10% off. The first plugin I want to talk to you about today is Keeper. Keeper is fantastic at cutting people out of a scene using machine learning just with a single click of a button. So I'm going to go ahead and go down into my effects, and I'm going to look up Keeper, and we're just going to click and drag this onto me. And as you can see, it has very, very quickly chopped me out, leaving just that clean background behind me. I don't have a blue screen or anything. We chop, and we're just going to click and drag this onto me. And as you can see, it has very, very quickly chopped me out, leaving just that clean background behind me. I don't have a blue screen or anything like that. So I love using Keeper for throwing in graphics really quickly behind my head. You'll see it very frequently in my videos. But what I also love using Keeper for is as a color correction tool. Normally I would have to rely on lots of shape masks and tracking and all sorts of things, but with Keeper I don't need to do that. I'm going to push Option, click and drag to duplicate that clip. And I'm going to go ahead and select the bottom one and remove Keeper. So now I have both a top layer and a bottom layer of me. Now all I need to do is jump to the bottom layer, push Command 6, and I can apply separate corrections to just the background. So if I wanted to push everything way over into the greens, I could do that, and again, it doesn't affect me in the scene. So Keeper is really powerful at quickly adding color corrections and graphics into your scene, as long as you're working with a person. The next plugin I want to talk about is Markup. Markup is essential, especially if you're creating tutorials or you have something on screen that you want to really showcase. The one that I use the most is Frame Zoom. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag that down onto the timeline, and you'll see that it creates this rectangle. This rectangle can be dragged around. Maybe I want to zoom in on the subscribe button here. And now if I play through, it's gonna auto animate the camera to zoom in on that subscribe button. But on top of that, it comes with all these other amazing features like focus loop. I really like. It's almost like a magnifying glass. So if I play that through, you can see how it magnifies the subscribe button. And we can also jump over here into the title parameters. We can adjust stuff like the magnification, the curvature, the stroke color, all sorts of things to really enhance your videos. The third plugin is Premium VFX's dynamic transitions. These add such a great sense of fluidity to your edits. They're very, very easy to use and they're extremely powerful. Now, unlike most transitions, you're not going to find it here in the bottom right-hand corner. You're actually going to need to go up to your titles. Now, within titles, you can look up Premium VFX dynamic transitions. So all I'll do to use these is drag them down onto the timeline. I have my A and my B. So you want the letter A to be on the first clip and letter B to be on the secondary clip. So if I play through, you can see how dynamic this transition is. Very easy to add. What's a major benefit and why I wish more people created transitions like this is that because they are titles, we can actually apply multiple transitions to a single clip. I'll just drag in the A zoom to the first clip and then the B zoom to the second clip. And so now if we play, we have both a rotation and a zoom happening on both clips. So this can be extremely powerful for customizing how you want your transitions to look. Plus, if you want to zoom in on a particular part of the screen, I'll select in. You can see I have these on-screen controls. So let's say I want to zoom in on the city. I'll just drag this to the bottom right. I could also select the rotation and make it so we're rotating around the city. And so now if I play, you can see how we're both rotating and zooming in on the city in the bottom right. So these are super powerful, super customizable, and I really, really love the energy that they add to my editing. The fourth plugin on this list is Premium VFX's backgrounds and titles. I use these in every single one of my videos. They are so clean and professional looking. So if I wanted, say, one of these duotone looks, I can just click and drag that down onto my timeline. You can still see the background, but there's these nice animated elements over it. All the colors are shifted to this kind of monotone look, so you can very clearly get a title to pop through. Speaking of titles, I'm gonna go ahead and drag this title directly on top. And so now we have this title playing out. If I wanna change what the text says, I could say something like subscribe and like. I can change the size of these boxes. So if I want it to be short, so it just fits the and like, I can change the colors. So they're very, very customizable. They look amazing. They have on-screen controls, so I can just drag these around to whatever corner I need. I can rotate them, scale them up. I love how these look, and every plugin list I ever make for the rest of time because it is that good. And the plugin I am talking about is Add Motion. Let's face it, Final Cut Pro's animation systems are awful, but Add Motion totally changes that and actually makes it so I enjoy doing animation.
Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go back to the real lesson. Alright, I'm getting distracted.
We can mess with the amount of this effect being added. We'll leave that at 100. You can change the text to whatever you want to say. Let's say think. The size, all this stuff is adjustable. So if you ever want to adjust something, go over here into the effects tab. Make sure you have your effect selected, and then you can mess with some of these effects. Now let's add a transition. So I'm going to go over to my transitions by clicking this, and we are going to, let's say this circle one. We are going to drag this right in between these two clips. Now let's play it through and see how it looks. So it's pretty cool, but let's say I want to speed it up and make it a faster transition. All you need to do is trim and shorten up that transition. So with a trim tool, just like we were making a clip shorter, we're going to use this to make our transition shorter. So with the bracket facing the right way to the left, we know that we are selecting this transition. So we are going to bring that in, and that brings in both sides for us. Now it's a quicker transition, and if you want to make it extra long, you can drag that out, and this now has your transition being extra long. Now let's say you want to move the transition a little bit to the left or the right so it starts earlier or maybe it starts later. If you hover over the middle, you can actually move this transition. Let's say we want it to start sooner. This is going to cut off what we were just having, but let's say we wanted to cut off that anyways. That's how you can move the transition within the clip to play it earlier or later. Let's say we like it right here, but we don't want all this dead space. All you need to do is hit B to bring up your blade tool. We are going to cut right there. Then we're gonna delete this clip, and now it's going to start when I start talking. All right, let's get rid of this vignette that I was telling you guys about, the dark corners. All you gotta do is crop in. So with your clip selected, if you go right here, we are gonna change this from trim to crop, Now I can actually crop in on my clip. So I'm gonna make sure that this vignette is not showing by zooming in a bit, and then we are gonna reposition where we want it. When we're done, we're gonna hit done. Now we've actually cropped in on the image so that we're not seeing the vignetting, and you can crop in on any clip. I use this a lot to kind of crop in on my face, crop it back out. So this is a great tool to use and to know how to use. Now, if we wanna mess with the audio and make the audio louder on this specific clip, we can hover over this line right here. And if we hover over this line, we are gonna see 0.0 dB. This is the standard, the neutral place for your audio to be at. So as you import any sort of audio, as you import any sort of video, it's gonna start at 0.
Okay, so we're gonna stop here for a while because I wanna figure out how much I'm gonna post for my you know what I'm talking about. How much I'm gonna post for the Instagram. So I'm thinking of, so last time I post was on Sunday, or was it Monday? Oh, it's Saturday night, right? Yeah, it's Saturday. So Saturday 6日1 2 3 4 5 6 6 Actually on Wednesday and Sunday, that way it's better, I think. I don't know. Let's do. Okay, but anyhow, I'm gonna think of the next one. We have tuna, we have museum. All right. We have home. We have twins. We have nurse. We have dog. We have organic. Now we have 7 posts to make, and so 7. If we make 2 posts a week, that's 3 weeks now. You know, we need to stay consistent. But yeah, all right. I'm gonna stop here, guys. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Nah, I'm just tired, guys. But yeah, today we learned a lot. All right, we did.